see society evolve. But I took my son to the pediatrician. This happened, and I'm highly effing offended. Okay, so my son plays sports. In order to be actively participating in the sports at school, you have to have a sports physical on file every single year. I took him to the pediatrician for this sports physical. Whenever any of us go to a doctor's visit, we all know that they do the triage. They do the blood pressure, the height, the weight, and all that right when you get there. And so when we get there, they're going to take him to do the triage like they do any other time. What ended up happening was they put us in a room without doing triage. When they put us in the room, they called my son out by himself, and she was like, oh, we're just going to go do the weight and the height and everything. And I was like, okay, cool, no problem. They took him around the corner, and I could see like the side of his chair, and I could see like half of his body, but I couldn't see like the little nook that she was in where she was writing everything down. You know, it was not a big deal, but I kind of just stuck my head out, just a peek. You know, I'm a mom and I'm nosy. I've been in prison. Like, I want to see what's going on. So I'm just standing in the doorway of the patient room, and I'm like watching him. I end up seeing that after she does the blood pressure, the height, and the weight, she ends up handing him a clipboard with a piece of paper. In my mind, I'm like, oh, that's peculiar. Number one, I've already answered all the health questions, like the medical history. Number two, why would you give it to a 12-year-old kid? Like, he doesn't.
I've already witnessed this. I already know where she's going with it. I went through this, I think it was like 2 years ago. I was with my son while he was going through the doctor's office while he wanted to play soccer. So I went to the doctor's office with him, but I was with him the whole time because I know I've been up on this for a while, so I know probably kind of games people play, and not to mention the girl at the desk had this scepter ring going, the liberal type look, y'all see what I mean? So I made sure I was with him in every room so they wouldn't ask him some kind of weird question. But I've already, talked to him about things like that anyway. But anyway, I'm gonna let her go ahead and finish saying what she got to say. But I think I already know where it's going.
Doesn't know his medical history. But again, like, I've already answered all that. So what the heck is that form? But I did want to help. So I thought, let me walk over there and just make sure he doesn't need my help with any of these questions. I end up walking over there. I look over his shoulder and I see that, he's checking things off and he's answering questions. And I'm like, all right, good job, babe. Like, you're answering everything on your own. You've got this. You're growing into a great little man, very independent, self-sufficient. It's all good. I'm going to leave it alone. I'll talk to him about what they were asking later and make sure that he understands the severity of answering these questions accurately, because it has to do with health, or so I thought. So I walk away and I go back into the room. About a minute or so later, he comes back in the room with the nurse and he sits down. The nurse closes the door and she's like, the doctor will be in a minute. Before I could even utter one word, my son looks at me and says, Mom, that was the weirdest form I've ever had to fill out. Of course, now my interest is piqued and I'm like, what kind of form was it? He's like, they asked me if I was gay, straight, or bisexual. They asked me if I felt like I was the gender that I was assigned to at birth. They asked me if I ever felt like I was a different gender. They asked me what gender I identify best with, how much I ate every day, how many hours I slept, and things that I know that.
Yeah, see, this is I already knew where it was going. Anytime your kids are still, and that's why I follow my kids in the room. When the doors crack, first of all, they ain't even supposed to be talking to kids at that age by themselves anyway, because it has to be within the parents' consent. The kids don't know background and stuff like that. The parents know those type of stuff until they get old enough to know what they're allergic to, or what kind of medicine they could use, and all this other kind of type of stuff that they should know as they get older. But these doctors are wrong. And for them to ask them kind of questions to a child, I would have been belligerent in that office. I would have, had I would have been done to my son, I would have. Yeah, I would have. Knowing me, yeah, I would have went full in that office asking that kind of question, man. But that just goes to show from the top, man, these people are trying to make it normalize the kind of comfortability to ask these kids. And this, like a story they did, I think it was like a year or two ago. They having these kids without the parents knowing, they having the kids going to school dressed in like the opposite sex. The boys trying on girls' dresses, and the girls doing, and they want to like feel like it's comfortable for the girls to cut off their breasts and stuff. And these at a early age. This happened right down in Texas. I forgot the name, what part in Texas that it happened in. But this made headlines a couple years ago. These people are demonic, man, and they're putting in position and power to help massage these kids' mind at an early age to make them feel like this is normal. No, it's not normal. They're confusing these kids, and they're just weirdos that think that they're helping trying to push the other part of the community, make them feel as such, and it's trying to enable the kids to go this route early. And this, a lot of times, the ones that end up going for it, a lot of these parents are just falling for it. And then when they get later on in life, they get depressed and wonder why they went through this whole stupid situation from the beginning with. Kids don't know what they want at an early age. Kids don't know what's going on. They're just being kids. And when they start finding themselves earlier in the upper teens and 18, 19, 20, 21, then that's when they start can kind of, find themselves, or some earlier, but you can't just do that to kids 12 or under, 10 and under. That's just sickening, man. Pathetic, straight pedo behavior.
That they ask during psych evaluations at the prison, that's where they ask you in that type of setting, like in mental health settings. Everything was kind of weird at that moment, and in my mind, I instantly got pissed the hell off. So the doctor comes in a few minutes later, and I'm like, hey, doc, I don't know when you guys started this, but I don't appreciate you guys giving a 12-year-old that form, particularly my 12-year-old, when you don't know if that subject matter has been even discussed in our household. You don't know if he knows what these words and terms mean. For the record, he does. I mean, I think most 12-year-olds probably do, but that's besides the point. They don't know that. You don't know if now I'm going to have a conversation with my child discussing why he's being asked this, what the relevance is to his life, and explaining things that he may not have previously known and I didn't want to discuss just yet because I didn't think it was age appropriate. You can't make that generalization, because the reality is that 12-year-olds, most of them, they're not engaging in sexual behavior, and everything they hear is just from social media. They don't even know a lot of the time at that age, like what actual real information is, like what is legit and what they just hear on social media and from their friends. They might not know what your birth assignment was. They might not know what transitioning is. And why would they if it hasn't been something that's come up in their household?
Your boy, Damon.
They know that because you didn't bother to ask. So at the very least, I would have appreciated if you would have brought that to me, said, hey mom, scan this real quick. If you're okay with us giving it to your child, then, we would like to, and that would have been fine. But you didn't. You did it in a sneaky way. You put us in the room together. Then you called him out by himself. And then you gave him this form, this very explicit form with very detailed, personal, invasive questions. And you didn't even bother to give me a heads up. What if we had never discussed that before and he got in the car and now all of a sudden he wanted to know all these things, and I was thinking that it's not age appropriate. I was going to wait till he was 14 or 15, and now you've just created a problem. Or what if you have a very impressionable and naive child and now you actually have planted a seed to where they're going to go searching? So she's like, oh, well, we just want to be inclusive and afford the opportunity for every kid to feel comfortable. And I said, I understand inclusivity and I understand leaving no child behind or their feelings. That's valid. But there's a difference between recognizing that a child needs to talk to somebody about something that they may not be able to talk about at home, and introducing subject matter and planting a seed about something that has never come up. And you wouldn't know what case you're dealing with because you didn't bother to ask the parent. I flipped out. I left. I'm not going back. When did they just start discarding the parent's role in this whole situation? You're going to take a 12-year-old's word on all of this stuff without even consulting the parent? What if he would have answered those questions crazy because they didn't even know what the hell was going on? And then now there's a case.
That's what they want the kids to do. That's how they indoctrinate.
Of, oh, the parents not wanting this or not allowing that, but we're going to still take this kid, and like, what? My mind spun out. So I just want to know what you guys think. Please don't come on here talking about I'm phobic this and phobic that. I'm not. When you take a child to go do something without the parent's knowledge or consent, it feels very sneaky and very shady, and I didn't appreciate it. Okay, it felt like there was some kind of agenda or narrative that was underlying here, that was being pushed upon my child that I was not aware of, and I don't approve. I figured I could get some insight from the world and just see, I don't know, just put some feelers out there, before I blow a gasket and go prison on the medical staff, because that's not what I want to do.
Well, you wouldn't be wrong for it, my dear, because this is what the world is leading to, and they're trying to push these crazy, weird agendas on the people. And this is what this is the liberal mindset, mind you. This is the far left liberal mindset. They're trying to take rights from the parents. They're trying to do things behind your back, and they want you to feel like you're crazy. And once you speak up on the child's behalf, then they want to go lock you up. Sing, song, and dance every single time. This is where it's getting more and more demonic, man. And they're trying to blame it on this administration when really all this started upon the Obama administration. He the one allowed for all of this to get out of control. And now he just done left it. Biden, he too sleep behind the wheel to even know what's really going on. They just giving him the auto pen. He just signed off on everything. And that's why we're in the situation that we're in now, because we'd allow a lot of people with mental illness and put in these situations to make feel like things is okay. But I beg to differ. So y'all leave a comment down below. Y'all tell me what y'all think, man. Are they trying to normalize this behavior for us with these kids, or it's just flat out plain sick? So y'all like the video, hit the bell notification, subscribe to the channel if you're new to the channel, and I get with y'all on the next one. I'm out. Peace.